problem owner. He was from AC Tesla. Now, AC Tesla provides professional services such as electrical testing. I'm sure you guessed it from the name as well. Assessment and distribution of electrical equipment in Singapore and the region. They are also certified and licensed to provide assurance of safety and reliability to power businesses across various industries, including commercial, energy, healthcare, and technology. Now, they also conduct regular health inspection of electrical panels, and that is where exactly some of the challenges lie, where it takes more than a week for a 5-man team to inspect certain buildings with a lot of panels, and there's also a lot of stress to prevent tripping the building's electricity. There's also a report that needs to come out of that. So their problem statement is, how might we actually automate and manage electrical inspection, compliance, and reporting to streamline the inspection process. Now, together with us over here, we have the General Manager of AC Tesla, Mr. Leslie Chong. He's an established executive and trained information technology and computer systems professional, and he has more than 20 years of proven track record in leading and commissioning large technology projects with huge success. Without further ado, let's welcome the GM of AC Tesla, Mr. Leslie Chong. Mr. Chong, please.
Hi, thank you so much, Ching Hong. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks to IMDA for this very good platform for small business owners like us to leverage on technology providers, solution solvers, and so on. And good afternoon to all the panelists and problem solvers. Okay. Thank you for giving me this airtime. Let me share my screen. Just give me a moment. Okay, so as mentioned, we are the electrical specialists. So we are the people behind powering up your buildings, your electricity. Some faceless people who work behind the scenes. When you sleep, we are all working at the back end to make sure that you have power for work and your living, right? So. Okay, so we have our guys here. Basically, we provide services, installation, electrical services, commissioning, and so on. Okay, so we actually deal with we call it high voltage power system, medium voltage, low voltage, and so on. So many of the buildings you see in Singapore is well known for urban jungle, so we have high density of buildings. So we are not lacking of a lot of buildings to cover, whether it's commercial, residential, shopping malls, and so on, even data centers in recent years. So our guys put on PPE like this, helmet, gloves, uniforms for safety, and then we do installation and commissioning. We have to open up live panels and so on. Okay, so some of the other installations would be like solar systems. We have to commission based on the EMA standards. We have our electrical licensed electrical worker to actually commission based on their license. And then we also commission EV charging points. So EV is something quite a new thing for everybody. Okay. If I can take this analogy, what we do or how the industry works. Basically, you just take, if you go for a health check, so we are the nurses, we are a team of nurses. Instead of you coming to the clinic, we go to you. So the building is the patient, right? So for annual health check, you want to make sure that you're healthy, you're fit for work, and so on. So what do? We actually provide maybe the usual blood pressure test, your height and weight, your BMI, and then we go to further diagnostics like your pulse rate and so on, your ECG and maybe even X-rays, right? So once we do all these standard health checks for you, we will submit, we will base on our knowledge and experience to analyze the readings, and we will submit our report to the doctor. So in our case, the doctor will be the professional engineer to browse through our report and to certify you fit, right? If there is some problem with the readings, like for example, your cholesterol is a bit too high, and then we will give some suggestion. Maybe we will ask you to come back next 6 months, or maybe we ask you to further investigate on certain things. So this is what we do. So in a building, typically, for what purpose they have to do this kind of annual health check? Mainly is firstly is for safety, okay, fire safety. For such a high voltage we are talking about, it can create flash, which may cause loss of lives and building fire in the buildings. Okay, and then for of course your reliability of power. When you come to work, you don't want to be burdened by a lack of power or unreliable power. So in a building, typically in a large building, like maybe in Shenton Way with 40-story high, we have large panels like this, which is mostly hidden away from normal people. Okay, so one of the services that we provide is called infrared thermography. This is one of the services. If you could relate it, it's more like an X-ray for your body. Okay, so we actually do a so-called X-ray on the electrical panels. So typically in a building, a very large building will be given hundreds of panels, electrical panels, whether big or small. So we carry a camera like that. We have a team of, we have a team leader who carries the thermal camera. Okay, by the way, this camera will cost about in the range of 20 to 30,000. Okay, it's a very specialized camera. So of course he has to handle with care, with a kind of price tag. So he has the responsibility of taking the image and be responsible of the, we call it a technical assistant. So typically we have about 3 guys, and then everybody will report to the thermographer. He's a certified thermographer, which we have to attend course to be certified and have experience to do this. It's more like a radiographer if you do X-ray. So we will actually move along the buildings, okay, from switch rooms, electrical switch rooms, to even the offices, or if there is like a canteen area or any kind of rooms that need electrical panels, we will be there. Okay, so what is the challenge? This is a very laborious task, especially for the panel openers. They have to, although we work behind the scene, but we are dealing with live systems. So they are actually opening live panels, which actually there may be users using. We do not shut down the system, right? So we have to, first priority is to take care of our own safety. We have safety briefing and so on before each job. And then we have to be familiarized with the background, and then make sure that everything, the walkway is safe and all these standard SOPs. So the guys will be equipped with like electrical drills, gloves, helmet if needed, and safety boots. So second priority for us is to ensure there is no tripping. Okay, sometimes if the person is careless or due to fatigue, we may accidentally touch the switch or drop the screw and cause a flash. You will trip the entire system. So if we visit places like trading, stock trading rooms where they cannot afford to have their servers or computers down, if we cause a trip, it will be a big matter to the users, and we may be banned from our jobs, right? So typically the guys will be going around, and one of the most laborious tasks is to manually write down the panel names. Okay, so each panel, imagine you have 100 of people in front of you, and each person you have to take a photo of him. And not only that, you have to identify who is person A, person B, and person C. It won't be nice if you take photo of 100 people and then you jumble up their names, and when you give them the photo and you get their names wrong. So this is a very important part. We cannot afford to jumble up the names, and these names are very mundane. Okay, if you can see these examples, this one example of electrical panel is usually printed by the vendors. These are not controlled by us. Usually the panel providers, they just build the panels and give it a name based on the users or the architects naming convention. The bad thing about this is there is no industry standard whatsoever to have the font and the panel naming convention. Not even barcodes. You don't see any barcode at all. And to a certain extent, you can see complicated fonts like this. These are standard fonts and can be anywhere. Can be left, can be right, can be bottom. We have to search. Sometimes it can be even handwritten. You see this kind of panel. It's so old, and some you can see panels even older than you. Not surprisingly, it's not IT, where electrical is a very stable thing where you do not want to change if there is no problem. So sometimes when they change certain things, they can just simply use a marker to write. So this is the challenge also, right? So we do not have a systematic, or rather a easier way to transfer these printed names into our writing pad. Okay, so you can see this is a typical example of what the thermographer has to do. Not only to take care of the safety of the team and himself, and to also visually inspect and also to check the infrared image and so on. He has to write down. So it's very tedious. Your fingers must be good and strong. Nowadays, we don't really do a lot of handwriting. If you notice you type too much on computers, after a while, you can't even really write, and only you can understand your own handwriting. So we have different thermographers with different handwriting styles. We even have different nationalities who got their own kind of writing style. So the challenge is having written this on site, and then we have hundreds of pages writing on these foolscap papers. And then coming back to the office, somebody has to transfer the handwriting into an Excel sheet like this. Okay, this one, for this example, you can see 55 lines, but it can be 500, even a few thousand lines easily per site. So you can imagine a building with 40 stories, and it can be thousands of panels, and we are dealing each job, probably it stretches over 5 working days. We can collect about easily 1,000, 3,000 images. There's a lot to deal with. So you can probably relate how laborious this is. So previously, we had a very tough time before we developed in-house software. We actually transfer this and manually type into a Word document. Okay. And when we started to develop our own in-house software, we improved a bit. We could take bigger jobs. Last time, we could only take like maybe a small factory with maybe 100 panels, but now we can take thousands of panels. But we still face challenges, like I mentioned, transferring from handwriting to typewritten in Excel. Okay, so to describe the flow, I simplify it with this diagram. So the thermographer will actually hand write into the foolscap paper, as you have seen. And then somebody, the data entry person, may be a person, may not be himself, maybe another person, to look at the actual handwriting and type line by line into Excel format, sorry. Okay, and then we will actually input this Excel in our in-house program. And not forgetting the thermal images that have been captured, the image number has to be written down as well, beside the foolscap, the panel name. So if I revert back to this, you can see this example, the panel name and then the image number, okay, in little numbers here. So we need to match accurately. Okay, after which is they match the numbers according to what you have written in the Excel. These two processes is manual. Okay, before that, we of course have to download the infrared images and then match that into a program, and the program will do some sorting. Okay, and after that, we have some kind of templates to generate out a final report. So our bread and butter is the final report, which is recognized by the customers. So what does the customer do with the report? So if you take example of a car insurance, so when you have to send your car maybe every 1 or 3 years for Vicom inspection in Singapore, what do you get out of it is basically to renew your road tax. And of course, the prerequisite is to have your insurance renewed. So it's exactly the same for a building owner. So every 1 or 2 years, they have to get a license from EMA, Energy Market Authority, to be certified to turn on the power. So this is exactly what we do for them. So our report is a recognition by the PE to endorse the so-called inspection and submit for the customer to get the license from EMA. And not only that, they have to get the insurance done. So our final report is actually prerequisite towards the EMA license as well as the insurance renewal, right? Okay, so showing here is one example of how our report looks like. So I have removed the customer names and the details. So the job is basically inspected, reported by a certified thermographer with a license number, and then the date, and then the report number. So the contents, and then this is how we have from manual transfer to the Excel from the program to generate this final report. So each photo that we take will have details like this, right? So we can, like I mentioned, one building, if there are 500 images, we will have 500 pages like this. 1,000, we have 1,000 pages like this, not including the intro and the appendix and so on. Okay, so I've described the problems that we face, and for future collaboration for the problem solver, we could, if this thing that we develop is successful, I'm keen to explore further to collaborate with the problem solver to offer this solution to the industry, because I think electrical industry is quite a very say conventional industry. There's not much innovation towards things for many years. I mentioned some panels can be as old as me, as well as maybe even before Singapore became independent. It could be. So we want to provide innovation towards this kind of solutions. So if we could collaborate and further offer the industry, it would be something very welcoming for most people, right? So one of my ideas is to provide a SaaS solution to other report writers on a subscription basis. If we could offer this solution towards our competitors, which I'm more than happy to, if we have a very comprehensive solution on the cloud. So I could provide things like now it's very much in-house, where we generate report out of our computer, and then final presentation will be a PDF. If the customer wants to print out, we are all happy to print out for them. Otherwise, most of them will prefer paperless. So if we offer this similar solution to the cloud, and then we can actually allow other people to use, that means based on their own proprietary template, and then offer this kind of auto generation. And then to create, even like I mentioned, this is prerequisite for license renewal and insurance. So if you could create kind of standard report recognized by the authorities or industry, that would be a very attractive thing. For example, even we want to serialize the report number, we could even tap on blockchain. So if we could tap on this kind of things available, we could actually open up a lot of market for this solution. Okay, I think I'm done with my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much for sharing. It's very, very in-depth and very clear as well. It's crystal clear. I almost feel the pain of writing down those numbers on those foolscap paper. And problem solvers, by helping Leslie, you're also helping to save the earth. Look at the amount of foolscap paper they have to use to store the writings on a daily basis.
Back to the school days.
Back to school days, indeed. And I love it how that you are actually trying to revolutionize the entire system and to create a better, more efficient system for the entire electrical industry rather than just for your for AC Tesla itself. It's wonderful. And I'm looking at some of the attendees, and they have actually come up with some questions on are the shorthand written structured in a particular way. I suppose they refer to the panel numbers and characters. Is there a certain structure to that?
Well, like I mentioned, there is no standard way, standard structure of. There's no nomenclature, if you can put it that way, in naming the panels. It can be anything. Right. But of course, with many experiences with our guys, we understand each other's handwriting. Sometimes it's quite repetitive, and especially repeated customers. Now you have, if you see for the last 10 years, data centers have been booming around the island. So a lot of our customers are data centers. So they give us yearly jobs that we'll go back, and then we somehow from there we learn that kind of the kind of language they use. Unless they change the name, then they will be causing us more problems.
Right. In short, there's no standardized format, but there's a certain kind of consistency within an organization or a customer group lah, in that sense. Yeah. Is that correct?
Their customer, they have their own convention, and some, like as you have seen, they can simply use a marker to just.
Yeah. I think that was the. I think that was the highlight.
And we are not authority or what to put this to force the industry to adapt some certain kind of format.
Sure. I understand that. And the second question, and perhaps the final question as well, because I think you've presented it so clear that I think many of them, upon seeing the materials, and if they are able to access it on the online platform, are able to work on it immediately. So the other and the last question that we're going to answer is, are the number of panels and locations already known before the site inspection, or does that change?
It can be both. Okay, like I said, if repeated customers, more or less, we have a list. So just now I show you was like a first visit that you have to write on a blank foolscap, and then transfer it to Excel. So subsequent visit will be the same Excel. We assume that nothing is changed. And then we just fill up with the Excel. We print out the Excel. We will fill up with the image number. If there is any change that we realize on site, we have to cancel it and write it over, because between the first visit and second visit, we will not be informed what is being changed. Yeah.
Understand that. Thank you very much, Leslie, for clarifying that. So in short, for the first time, they do have to do a documentation, and then in between, if there's any changes, they will not be aware. All right. Thank you very much, Leslie. I think that was very clear. And for those of you who are deciding to tackle this challenge, you may actually go on to the OIP website. And I think Leslie will be happy to go through the different proposals that you have. And of course, the deadline is 17 June, 4 p.m. So Leslie will be checking his computer then. So make sure that you have a proposal for him, right? So thank you very much, Leslie. Any final words for our problem solvers?
Actually, I wanted to add one more thing before I forget.
Of course.
I didn't manage to put in the slide earlier. Okay, this one is, like I mentioned, this is the first visit. Okay, subsequent visit will have the Excel. And then this Excel will be printed on the second visit, which will leverage on a more proper typing. But like I mentioned, this may change. It's sometimes quite fluid. They upgrade system without us knowing, and we go there, we will hell of time finding where is that panel. So we will waste a lot of time. So one of the things that we would want is if there is a way to search, and then that means iPad or something with something, must be something very handy because the thermographer is already burdened with a camera and foolscap paper. We only have two hands. So you have a way to sometimes we can't find this particular panel. And you can see that kind of names is horrendous. Your eyes will go insane by looking at these numbers and a lot of repetition. So if we could have a way to key that panel that you see physically and help to search in this list and pop up somewhere, it would be good. Yeah, that's all I want to add.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you for your time. So that variability has got to be catered for as well. Guys, log into OIP to see the challenge posted by AC Tesla. Once again, thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.